live. It is January 27th, 2025, and I'm your host, FINGY. Before we get into today's session, I do urge you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stay in the loop with all amazing music we got going down this stoop. With that being said, we're on all streaming services, so Spotify, Apple Music, you name it, we are there. Tap in. But today, it is a privilege to be listening to the JuJu Exchange. Y'all, this is cerebral music at its finest. This is dynamic, genre-defying, innovative composition channeled through improvisational spirit that at its root is truly medicinal. So it is such an honor to have y'all here today, and let's let it ride. Hey guys, this has always perplexed us here at Audiotree. Over 88% of you that watch our show are not subscribed to our channel. Kind of wild, right? So, could you please do us a favor? If you like this show and you like discovering new music and you wish to support us, the free and simple way to do that is to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And our commitment to you, if you do that, our team will continue to book the best bands we can, listen to your feedback, and book who you want to hear on this show, continuing to capture and share astounding music to you all. Thank you. Wow. Amazing. For the people at home that don't have the privilege to experience what I'm experiencing right now, I want to paint a quick picture. There's this level of joy that's happening right now, but it's not excited joy, it's energized joy. You know, it doesn't feel like this on top, almost a tinge of anxiety-driven joy, but it's something that's much more rooted, which is something we'll get into more, but a profound feeling. Thank you so much for allowing me to experience it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're so perceptive, yo.
For real.
My ears are open. But Noah's a freaky guy. What's going on over here? I've never seen anyone play drums like you play drums, let alone a setup like this. Could you give us a better look at what's going on in your spaceship?
Sure, yeah. First of all, thank you so much for all your words. You are crushing it right now. I'm so just blown away by how this music is perceived, and you know, it's such a communal experience. Of such an inward space for me. And I love the way you put words to it, so I just want to thank you for that.
Of course.
But yeah, so we clearly got some drums going on. Electronics. These are an instrument that I built called the Nova Portals, and they essentially detect my hand in space, and I can map that gestural information to whatever sound quality I want. So I got it affecting my drums currently on that last one. I'm up. You know, I got it affecting delays and reverbs and everything. So
it's like MIDI mapping physical receptors that are able to change the automation within you.
Exactly, yeah.
That's nasty. How did you figure that out? Like, why were you going so long?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I was really craving for a long time before I went to school. I went to school for music technology. And I was really craving an extension and augmentation to the drums. Like, I really wanted something more ethereal beyond just the concrete nature of hitting something, you know? And so having something that's like blends this acoustic world with the electronic production world that I also dive deep in, it's kind of like a bridge between all of it. It's like the invisible glue right here, you know?
And it bridges physical movement too. Like right off the bat, like seeing literally what physical movement you have to do to create those sounds, and having this, you know, 4 on the floor Chicago ass like track start to happen. Like
sure.
It is so like encapsulating and authentic beyond just the sonics to like what y'all are doing.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
That is so sick.
Thank you.
And on the level of school, I know y'all were studying at the Merit School of Illinois, yes?
Of music, yeah.
Of music. And I'm sure within those studies there was such a dedication to your practice that you had to hone in on to be able to, you know, materialize these abilities. I was wondering, beyond what that work ethic had taught you in the musical theory realm, how have you been able to apply that dedication and practice to your interpersonal relations outside of music? Have you seen yourself become a better family member, friend, lover through that?
Wow, that's an amazing question. Yeah, I think it's music can be both sides. It can be the teacher, and it can be the one influenced by your teaching. And we're all, you know, mirrors for each other. Not just ourselves in this band, but every person that we experience this life with and through. So I feel that the practice of music enforces and sort of enriches your ability to communicate with everyone. And your ability to communicate with everyone enriches and enhances your music. And I feel very grateful that this group of individuals are able to see past the ego and see into each other's souls. I know that sounds a little heady right now,
Talk
but
about it now. Yes, sir.
but no, that spirit really is captured in music, and that's the vibe that we're receiving is the vibe that we're transmitting. So I feel very lucky to be in a group with people who can see that, who can see the humanity in what we play and bring their own humanity to what we're doing in this musical context. But I think that the practice of that can translate into and permeate through your life, and in every kind of relationship, it brings you clarity on how to interact with and how to support everyone in your life.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
What are your thoughts?
I agree. The comment about being a mirror is beautiful. The discipline needed in music is the discipline needed in life and discipline needed in society. And I'm thankful for how the disciplines reach into each other. And some people say that you can never be a better musician than you are a person. And to some extent, I agree with that because your music is always coming from your life. But then when you pull back the layers on many musicians and you see a lot of problems, but you still utter music, then all of a sudden there become these tensions. And so I've amended that statement a little to say that you're always on the journey of being a person, and the extent to which you're honest about that in your music will make your music better. And so that affects the way we practice while at Merit and the kind of integrity that we sought to engender in ourselves and one another. When your teacher asks, did you practice this week? They didn't have to ask you. They could just listen to you. Yeah. And they'd be able to know. But still, being asked those questions at Merit and asking those questions of each other when it came to learning songs and relying on each other in high school has led to then the relationships we had outside of school that led to us driving across the city to see each other and help each other get to shows and whatnot. And then also led years later to Nico playing in my wedding, and after which we ended up talking about the JuJu Exchange, or we ended up talking about making music again, and Nico had the idea of starting a band, and the name became the JuJu Exchange, and here we are years later. So, my wife and I are celebrating 10 years married in June, which means the conversation Nico and I had was about 10 years ago. So to this point about how does music help you in love, how does this music help you in life, especially given who just took office, it really speaks to the fact that there's something that we hope that society can hear from us and see in us in the way that we conduct ourselves, because the kind of discipline needed to practice and hold yourself accountable is what we also needed in the society, the discipline needed to hold ourselves accountable in life together.
You just said so many things that I have so much to talk more about. Where do I start? I just giggled when you said you're celebrating 10 years. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Because I was just talking to Nico outside, like, I've been listening to you for 10 years. And I was telling one of our crew members that last night I opened up for someone that was listening to 10 years ago. So there's this, there's this thing happening. So that's beautiful. That's divine. Glad we're here. Another thing you said, I appreciate that amendment that you made about that initial statement, because as Nico was saying, there is a separation of like ego and soul when it comes to this, and it's the whole age-old art versus the artist conversation, but to box art within an ego does limit its abilities to speak and transcend past that, but there's still ebb and flow with that.
Yes.
But okay, this is gonna be a mouthful, but we were also talking about how it transcends ego. This is a higher power. And your music is intrinsically tied with the belief of a higher power, belief of a higher power in the sense of an interconnectedness and a passion for social justice. So living within this capitalistic society and this material paradigm that you're speaking of, how are you able to reinforce that what you're making is making a tangible difference within the spiritual and societal realm when the content that you are creating is immaterial itself?
Ooh, that's beautiful. I'd love to start, and I'd love to hear Kurt's thoughts. So one thing that I always hold to as some of the most honest feedback, next to what comes back to us out of the speakers when we're going into the studio listening back to what was played, is what fans say. That is so vital. That is so important, because like the adage goes, if you think you're leading somebody, but you're just out alone, you might just be taking a hike. And for musicians, there's always this allure to only listen to yourself and only listen to the sound that's within you, And you may be making the hottest stuff known to man, to you. But to everybody else, it's like, oh, bless his soul. And so part of the dynamic that we always seek to encourage is, one, not only where we listen to each other, but also where we listen to our fans. And I remember we were at Pitchfork years back, and somebody came up to us who we all know, and she just thumbed me in the chest. She thumbed me in the chest, Fingy, and she said, keep making that music. And this was after Nico had told me about running into her a few months or so prior, and she was crying because of the music that we had made. This was off of our last record, JazzRx. And she was so thankful. She was so thankful that we made that music. And then she came up to me at the studio and said, came up to me in the park and said, keep making that. That is feedback next to what you hear in mastering. And when you hear that, that speaks to this deeper connection that we have. And faith is something that's really important to me, and it's important to us in different ways in the band. And when I hear that, I say, thank you, God. When I was playing Fingy for my grandmommy, when I was a teenager, I would play hymns on the piano, and she would sit on the radiator next to me, and after I'd be done, she would look heavenward and say, thank you, God. That's the same feeling that's translated into these moments. And so I encourage you, Fingy, and anybody else listening, I encourage you, any musician listening, making this music, I encourage you to not only listen to yourself and listen to your bandmates, but listen to those you touch out in the field. And listen to what they're saying. Listen to what this music means to them. And remember that in those moments that are so difficult for you to get past.
Kurt Shelby.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that Julian said. Really, music is about community. I think that all art forms really are an extension of our ability to reflect and show the world our experience, the things that we've practiced, the things we've learned, the things we've struggled through, and that all comes through the music. And someone can resonate with that, whether there's words to music or not. You know, I think instrumental music has a very special effect because it can affect everybody in a room completely different. Because even if we intended to mean something specific, someone might be going through something entirely different, and they can resonate with that, and that allows them the capacity to connect with us. And that's where I think that live performance and music really impacts people's lives. And as far as capitalism is concerned, like, the type of music that is allowed to be created because of what makes money does not necessarily mean that it's more valuable, right? I think there's so much value in stuff that does not make money, but will everyone be able to connect with that? Because who controls the platforms? Who's able to get this music to people? Things like that. So, you know, a few thoughts on that.
Well said, man.
Yeah. No, and y'all's music really does have the power to impact them. Standing here tearing up over what you got to say and what you people have to say. So with that, and talking about like this term you said that we were moving into, we are entering arguably the most socio-politically charged time that we have seen. Have there been any intention shifts or deeper digging into how you want to be able to create, distribute, and perform this craft that you're doing with that in context?
Yeah, you know, this is kind of also an answer to the last question that you just raised as well. I am a big proponent of music as a platform for all these other intangible aspects to our reality, and music makes it material. And I think, like you're saying, there is a lot of conflict happening, like socio-political tension that's present. And naturally, you know, we're creating from our lived experience. We're bringing that into the material of the music. Like, that's in the force of me playing these drums. I'm expressing so much of that energy, that angst, that anger, into the music itself, and I'm working it out. And Julian said something really interesting earlier about how, you know, our dynamic as a band reflects how we operate as a society. And at least as a healthy society, where we're really listening to each other, when we're really present to what each other has to say musically and operationally. and in making the actual music event happen itself. Like all the behind the scenes stuff, that's part of working it out as well. So I think, we play a crucial role as artists in this craziness to help us process, what's going on in a way that isn't so explicitly charged, like directly charged with words and with titles and teams, gang names, Republican versus Democrat. You know what I'm saying? Like it's present and it's there, but it's not caught. We don't get caught up in the verbiage of it. And we're able to do some very important emotional, spiritual work as a result of the role that music and these instruments are playing and helping us capture that energy in a very tangible, direct way without getting too caught up in things that we often get caught up in as a society that we probably, if we just set that down for a second and just had a conversation, and appreciated what I like to call vibration, we probably do a lot more productive work.
Right. And there's a level of transmutation that has to happen.
Come on, transmutation.
Come on.
That word was on my mind.
It was that one.
Yeah.
I got you.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We both, okay. That word was somewhere over here, floating in the ether.
It's the collective conscious. We were just talking about this.
Man.
There's a level of openness you got to get to receive more. That's what I'm listening.
saying.
That's what I'm hearing. I could talk to y'all forever, but one more question before y'all, continue to do your thing. Speaking on these topics again, or these sayings that you have, I heard in an interview you were saying that you learn a lot from trees, which I do as well, and I would like to continue to talk about trees with you off camera. But you were saying what you've learned from trees is that they're, let me get this right, because this is a direct quote. I can't read them. I chicken scratch. Let me just talk to you. What am I doing?
We're here.
That you learn more from the roots of the trees than the branches, and how you are trying to root yourself instead of focusing on how you are trying to extend outwards. Could you comment a bit more about that and how you're able to root yourself deeper while still expanding as a person?
Hey, you did some deep research. I remember when he said that too. That was years ago. You did your homework for that one.
I might have.
That's a deep cut.
That's a deep cut. Trees focus more on taking care of their roots, and the branches then follow. And I think in the Instagram world, where so often you're focusing on the branches. I mean, that's a branch platform. Look at my branches. Look how high they are. Look at how many leaves there are. Look how many birds come and take shelter in my tree. That's what followers are. That's what likes are. All of that is speaking to the branches of your tree. The root system is far deeper and goes into what nourishes you. Because I hope your ultimate nourishment isn't coming from your followership or lack thereof on Instagram. And the root system is connected to the things we were talking about earlier: faith, your sense of community. For me, also, I have a 17-month-old daughter, Lydia, and my wife. And looking in Lydia's eyes, I mean, that's part of my root system. Playing for her. The first song, Purely, we did, FINGY, that is a banger for Lydia. She will go around with a little Bluetooth speaker and get all her squats in, get all her steps in, because she just loves that joint. She loves that. As soon as it comes on, she could be in any kind of mood, and that is the fail-safe. So that is so core to my root system, because I never want to make music that I can't delight in with her. So these are some of the litmus tests that I've had over the years, and we all have them, and I'm thankful that it shows in the music, because that joy then comes forth. And when I need encouragement and when I need to go back to the roots, I can always tell how deep the roots are based on the amount of nourishment that they're getting. And another cool thing about trees is that the roots then can give, they often intermingle right next to somebody else's. So my root system is connected in a way to Nico's, is connected in a way to Zai's, is connected in a way to Kurt's, and everybody else that we come in contact with through the JuJu Exchange. Our roots connect. And also the depth and width of the roots then speaks to the depth and width of the branches above. So if you really want big branches, then how deep are your roots? And that also goes to the tradition and learning solos off of records from Herbie Hancock and Coltrane and all the cats. That also comes from learning about the history of music in this city. all of the jazz and the gospel and the blues and the electronic and the hip hop and all that's come up the Mississippi River and all that's made its way here to the Third Coast, you got to know your roots to really understand where you're then going. So there's I'll close with, there's a phrase in African philosophy called Sankofa, which speaks to looking backwards in order to go forwards. And that rooting is so needed, especially in a time where people can be so hyper-presentist. Just whatever happened yesterday, irrelevant. Here I am today, the new me, whatever, 2025. No, you come from a lineage. You come from ancestors who sacrificed, who were enslaved or whatever else happened. You come from that, and all that's showing up in your music, and that speaks to how you move in the world and the sounds that you hear. So may we make sounds for 7 generations to come, even as we think about sounds that are made 7 generations prior.
Well said. And I think something that's so interesting about how you're saying you all are connected through this root system, it's so important to highlight that the roots are underground, and it's not necessarily something you can see. Branches, you can see your followers, you can see your admirers, you can have this preconceived notion that these people align with me because they present as such, but the real authentic connections come from genuine, deeply rooted resonances that are not visible to the eye, but go deeper than any other connection could go.
That's real. Miles Davis said he would pick people for his band based on how they held their instrument. To your point.
Yeah. Interesting. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I got the best job ever. Should we run a couple more?
Yeah.
Sick.
This next one's called Walk Cycle.
JuJu Exchange. Thank you so much for being here. It's so refreshing to talk with such awakened people, and I thank you for waking me up a little bit more on this Monday. Yeah. Who would have thought? Amazing. Thank you so much to our crew for getting this done. We can't capture this without you. And thank you so much for watching. By the time you are watching, it's already on all streaming services, Spotify, Apple Music, you name it. But also watch the YouTube video. We talked about some pretty real shit. And at the end of the day, these are the conversations that allow us to begin to understand rather than understand what's actually happening through this music. So please pay attention, and I promise you it'll be a gift. Subscribe, because why would you not? Call your mom, like, drink water.
Yep.
Yeah. My name is FINGY. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.
All right, so you guys want to do it for real now?